What if cosmic space could live inside a cube? In this video, we'll be creating a stylized cosmic material that glows, shimmers, and even moves with the camera. Perfect for stylized sci-fi scenes or futuristic UI effects. And the best part, it's fully procedural, so you'll have tons of options to tweak, from colors and stars to nebula shapes and animation speed. Before we start, here's a quick look at the reference images that inspired this material. This shader actually began as part of a personal stylized project with a space theme. I wanted a flexible material that I could easily customize for different looks. So, procedural was definitely the way to go. Alright, let's start simple with the cube. I've kept the background fairly dark to make it feel like outer space. Inside the shader editor, begin by adding a color ramp and a gradient texture. Connect a mapping node and hook it to the texture coordinates, specifically the camera output. This will make our texture react dynamically to camera movement, giving it that parallax-like depth. Now, move the sliders on the color ramp to adjust the contrast and pick some nice, space-like colors for your base. Think deep blues and purples. The next step is to create a layer of stars, which again will follow the camera. Add another mapping node from the camera output and then plug in a Voronoi texture. Plus Ctrl plus Shift plus right click to preview it and change the distance metric to Minkowski. That gives us a clustered star-like pattern. Now we can use the color ramp values to really get that star shapes perfectly. Through a bit of testing, I noticed switching from 3D to 2D mode makes the star more stylized. And by lowering the detail value, you'll get a nice mix of sizes. Also, max out the randomness slider for some natural variation. That gives us our largest stars. To add smaller background stars, just duplicate the Voronoi node and tweak the scale and detail values. Then, mix both of them together with a mix RGB node. Alright, that looks good. Keep this mix node here for now. We'll revisit it later. Now, let's blend the stars we created earlier one by one using mix nodes. Not bad, but the stars still don't pop enough. create the earlier node that contains just the stars and connect it to the emission node to really make the stars pop. And there we go. Instant glow. Next, let's create some nebula or space textures. For the nebula, I started experimenting with a wave texture. After setting the scale to a really low value, I got this soft, banding pattern that really works great as a nebula base. Add a color ramp to control the fall off, and then tint it with purples, pinks, or blues to give it that space cloud vibe. Mix this with base texture using a mix RGB, add node, and make sure it's layered under the stars. Now, tweak the distortion, detail, and detail scale values to add in some randomness and flow. Let's see what this all looks like at the principal BSDF. Alright, that looks quite good. Change the values of the wave texture mode to create a better nebula shape. Finally, I lowered the factor values of the add node so it has a more subtle effect overall. After this, I spent a minute or two fine-tuning the value, so feel free to pause here and explore different combinations. Here's a quick look at the full shader if you would like to pause and replicate it. If you find this useful, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. It helps me create more tutorials like this. Alright, next, let's add a stylized outline using grease pencil. Select the cube, add an object line art, and change its color to white. Then, apply a glow effect, tweaking the strength and blend mode until it matches your desired look. For animation, I added a slight rotation in the mapping nodes to make the galaxy shift slowly over time. Then, I animated the distortion in the wave texture for the gentle nebula movement. For the blinking stars, I keyframed the roughness value in the Voronoi texture. Just a small variation, and once I liked the timing, I selected all the keyframes and made them cyclic using the Shift+C Make Cyclic F modifier option. This creates a nice, continuous twinkling loop. And that's our cosmic cube. This technique works beautifully for stylized backgrounds, holograms, and even UI effects. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other stylized shader tutorials. Thank you.